I'm sure that you will continue to do amazing things in the coming future.
Next up, we have our amazing speaker, Melissa, who will be opening up about her experience in creating her nonprofit, 1000 Books For.
But excuse us for a little, because we're having some technical difficulties with the tea. Oh, we got it. All right, thank you.
Hi, everyone. At the age of 15, with the support of businesses in Austin, I decided to start my first company, TeenLink, which provides real-world opportunities for youth by connecting them to companies. But the same people who originally helped me and told me that I was going to do great things were now telling me that I was too young to start a company. When I tried partnering with companies for photography jobs, they told me, "You aren't doing anything meaningful, so why don't you try again when you're older and you actually know what you're doing?" I was infuriated. Why were these adults, who I trusted dearly, now telling me that I wasn't ready? I found myself questioning, could I even make an impact as a teen? I thought that these people were telling me to follow my dreams, but now, why were they taking my dreams away from me? I want to start with a story, exemplifying how all youth can be entrepreneurs. Meet my friend Ruben Reeves. He's a recent high school graduate. He also lives in Monrovia, Liberia. Liberia, you heard that right. Like most Gen Zers, we met over Facebook. We started talking, and immediately he told me his living circumstances for him, his friends, and his family. When Ruben attended school, he walked 20 miles from home to school every day. Just let that number sink in. The last time that I walked 20 miles in one day, well, who am I kidding? I don't think I've even walked 20 miles in a week. Ruben attended 8-hour classes daily, often on an empty stomach, and only on a lucky day, he would have a meal waiting for him at home. Ruben witnessed his friends, the brightest female public speakers, writers, and mathematicians in his classes, turn to prostitution for making less than $1 a day, just to make ends meet. The boys in his classes turned to working as street vendors, choosing to prioritize supporting their families over their individual educations. Others even still could not afford to obtain schooling and thus remained illiterate, reinforcing the cycle of poverty. Unfortunately, Ruben's story isn't one that is unique. There are hundreds of thousands of Liberian youth who are in similar situations. Every day, children there worry about their futures and wonder if they have a bright one beyond secondary schooling, or even if they have the prospect of finishing school. After a conversation with Ruben one day, he mentioned the idea of creating Rehab Africa, an organization dedicated to empowering African youth through education initiatives. I mentored Ruben and helped him bring his vision of Rehab Africa to life, after the realization that education and youth involvement could inspire so many. I'm proud to announce that Rehab Africa has since then partnered with institutions, government organizations, and other nonprofits to host workshops, providing resources and guidance for other Liberian youth. In fact, we just launched the week-long 2019 Global Youth Changemakers Conference in Liberia. Free for over 150 youth, it's the first time anything like this has been done here. And participants were able to brainstorm solutions based on the UN Sustainable Development Goals to implement in their communities. Emmanuel organized a Margibi County committee to fight erosion creating waterways. Tronken started an NGO National Labor Eye Liberia. And Sake, tutor in mathematics to over 1,000 Monrovian students. I want to ask you a question. What do you think of when I say Africa? Poverty, AIDS, prostitution? The media often portrays Africa in a pessimistic way. And as a result, we are only informed about the negative things happening there. But there's a side to Africa that most don't hear about. It's the youth, who are taking an innovative approach to fight for what they believe in. Take Rehab Africa, for example. It's entirely youth-run, and they are all working together to fight for the basic needs that so many of us have today. They take action, fulfilling their desire to create change in their community. After a conversation with Ruben one day, and like Ruben, I started my organization when I was preparing to go to China during summer break, and I wanted to bring my cousins some of my favorite English materials. My cousins, since they live in rural areas of Inner Mongolia, they did not have access to quality English materials that most are privileged to have in America. In addition, English teachers there lacked the opportunity to speak to native English speakers. I was shocked that my own family lacked these resources. So I began collecting books. After the initial 1,000 English books were collected, we set up 2 libraries in orphanages in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, and conducted English panels across China. After noticing that there were no nonprofits benefiting Mongolian students, I took matters into my own hands. Right now, we're the only nonprofit organization to work with Mongolian youth in rural areas across China, Mongolia, and Siberia. And what started as a book project to help my cousins has now turned into an internationally run 501c3 nonprofit organization called 1000 Books For that aims to empower young changemakers through education and entrepreneurship initiatives. We work in 9 countries with over 400 teachers impacting over 35,000 students. In addition to collecting over 25,000 books, we developed an audio curriculum that's distributed to teachers across China. And our latest initiative, Project 195, is a toolkit that aims to teach social entrepreneurship to youth from all 195 countries. I believe that every child, regardless of their race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status, deserves the right to a proper and fair education. And I've used my platform to inspire other teens by speaking and advocating for teen entrepreneurs at a local level, like workshops in Austin, and at international conferences, like South by Southwest EDU 2018 and 2019. I'm telling you these stories because I want to make it clear that anyone and everyone can make an impact in this world. Your socioeconomic background or your cultural background does not determine where you'll be in life, and it is ultimately up to you to shape your future. First, I want to ask you a question. Who do you think of when I say entrepreneur, or even social entrepreneur? Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk. All the big tech CEOs probably come to mind. But how many young people do you hear in the news every day who are making a difference? That needs to change. Think of Malala, or even on a local level, think of Ruben and what he's done with Rehab Africa. So, do you want to make an impact in this world? I'm going to share with you 7 points crucial to making your voice heard and some advice. Number 1, find a role model. Ruben told me that it was initially hard for him to start his organization because no one in his community was doing something similar. Find a mentor, someone who inspires you. They don't have to be famous. Just make sure that you have direct access to them. Number 2, You have everything in your hands to create change in the world. Find out what you're passionate about. If a group of teens with no event planning experience can launch a summit for youth leaders in Africa, there's no limit to what you can do. Look around you, to your right, to your left. Introduce yourselves if you don't know each other. Come on guys, introduce yourselves. Yeah. There we
I don't think there's anyone like after 1 hour.
In a room full of youth in a city like Seattle, filled with innovation and tech, you will find those who are interested in collaboration and working on similar ideas. Number 3, listen. There is a big difference between listening and hearing. You can always listen to people, but it is more important to hear what they're saying and to take action based on that. Number 4, any chance to get exposure, take it. Contact local news sources and provide examples of the results of your work to convince people of the authenticity and the authority of what you're doing. Remember, more exposure is equal to more people who will discover your work, and it is easier to get support. Number 5, persist. For every hater, there will always be more supporters. Number 6, don't underestimate the value of social media relationships. For one, I met Ruben online, and you too can find people online who share your passions. Find a way to turn social media into social impact. Number 7, which I think is the most important. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Make sure to check in with yourself consistently to see that you still love what you're doing. And don't be afraid to ask for help, since there are amazing people out there who share your vision and want to help you succeed. So, what do you want the world to look like when you're older? If it's not what your reality looks like right now, change it. Create the world that you want to live in. So, next time you see something that is not what you stand for, make the change. Find solutions for problems that exist in your community. These stories that I've shared with you today are examples of youth entrepreneurs who are able to utilize resources based on their living circumstances to develop organizations promoting the welfare of other youth. No matter where you come from, no matter your age, you can take action to create change in your community. You are never too young to make a difference. So, next time someone tells you that you're too young, powerless, that your ideas don't matter, that you aren't making an impact, believe me, you are. Your opinions matter. You can change the world, and you can start right now. Thank you.
Thank you for that speech, Melissa. I could listen to you for hours, but unfortunately, we are fully booked for today's event.
Next up, we have our first 10-minute break. And how are you guys enjoying the event so far?